I am Atlas the Fox, and this is the story of how Somalia became the pirate capital of the world. How one of the most important waterways on Earth was ruled not by navies, but by fishermen with assault rifles. Robbers on land are called thieves, but thieves of the sea are called pirates. In the early 1990s, after the collapse of Somalia's central government, the waters around Somalia became the most dangerous shipping route on Earth. Every year, more than 20,000 ships pass through the Gulf of Aden, the narrow maritime corridor connecting Europe to Asia through the Suez Canal. Around 12% of global trade and nearly 30% of the world's container shipping moved through these waters. Oil from the Middle East, electronics from Asia, machinery, chemicals, vehicles, almost everything. Then suddenly, tiny wooden skiffs appeared on the horizon, racing across the Indian Ocean. Men armed with AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades climbed aboard giant cargo ships using ropes and ladders. It almost looked absurd and comical, a tiny fishing boat attacking a 300-meter-long cargo ship. But the men standing on the deck of the giant were not laughing. They were terrified. By 2011, Somali pirates were responsible for more than 230 attacks in a single year. At the height of the crisis, they held over 1,100 hostages from dozens of countries. The average ransom payment rose from around $150,000 in 2005 to nearly $5 million by 2011. But the story of Somali pirates did not begin with greed. It began with a collapse. Somalia sits on the Horn of Africa, with the longest coastline on mainland Africa, stretching for more than 3,300 kilometers along the Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. For centuries, Somali communities relied on fishing and maritime trade. The ocean was not just water, it was food, it was work, it was trade, it was survival. Somali sailors and merchants moved along ancient maritime routes, connecting East Africa with Arabia, Persia, India, and beyond. But in 1991, Somalia's central government collapsed. After 22 years in power, the dictator, Siad Barre, was overthrown. The country fractured into clan territories, warlord-controlled regions, and later, Islamist insurgencies like Al-Shabaab. Different regions evolved separately: Puntland in the northeast, Somaliland in the northwest, and unstable southern regions around Mogadishu. In 1992 alone, more than 200,000 of Somalis died from war and famine. International peacekeeping missions failed to stabilize the country. Then came the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu, later known worldwide as Black Hawk Down. 2 U.S. Black Hawk helicopters were shot down. Images of dead American soldiers dragged through Mogadishu dusty streets shocked the world. After that, Somalia became a place foreign powers feared to touch. The country descended into chaos, and the sea had become lawless. Fishing fleets from Europe and Asia flooded Somali waters. Industrial trawlers with giant nets harvested tuna, lobster, shrimp, and other seafood on a massive scale. They destroyed local fishing nets and pushed Somali fishermen out of productive waters. By the late 1990s, foreign vessels were stealing roughly 130,000 metric tons of fish from Somali waters each year, nearly 3 times more than Somali fishermen fish themselves. Entire coastal communities began losing their livelihoods. Yet illegal fishing was not the only problem. Foreign companies saw Somalia's unprotected coastline as a dumping ground for toxic substances. Over time, suspicious containers began washing onto Somali beaches, fueling fear and anger among coastal communities. so fishermen took matters into their own hands. In a war-torn country, where weapons had spread everywhere, it was not difficult for fishermen to find arms. So men who once sailed with fishing nets began sailing with guns. They called themselves the Somali National Volunteer Coast Guard, or the Somali Marines. To many locals, there were defenders of waters. At first, they only tried to force foreign ships away from Somali waters. But then, something changed. When armed fishermen from Bosaso boarded an Indian vessel to scare the crew off, the frightened Gujarati sailors offered them money to leave. And in that moment, the fishermen realized something dangerous. A single hijacked ship could bring more money than a lifetime of fishing. Somali fishermen quickly understood that the Gulf of Aden was one of the busiest maritime corridors on Earth. The world depended on these waters, and that dependency could be exploited. Giant commercial vessels became targets: oil tankers, container ships, chemical carriers. The attacks often seemed impossible. Tiny Somali skiffs attacked ships weighing more than 100,000 tons. But the pirates were fast, heavily armed, and increasingly experienced. Sometimes, entire crews were captured within minutes. What began as protecting Somali waters was slowly transforming into something far darker: an organized criminal empire at sea. The ransom money was enormous compared to ordinary life in Somalia. Young men from impoverished villages flooded into pirate groups. Former militiamen and war veterans joined the operations too. Soon, businessmen and financiers began investing in piracy. Some paid for boats, others provided weapons, GPS systems, engines, fuel, and satellite phones. Piracy evolved into a structured industry. There were attack teams, negotiators, hostage guards, translators, financiers. Entire coastal towns transformed. Places like Ail and Bosaso became internationally known pirate hubs. Luxury SUVs drove through dusty streets. New buildings rose. In villages that had suffered extreme poverty for years began to benefit from piracy money too. Markets revived. Small businesses grew. Successful pirates became wealthy bachelors. Expensive weddings followed. Khat sessions became part of pirate culture. Khat, a leafy stimulant not considered haram under local interpretations of Islam, was widely used across the Horn of Africa. It kept men awake and energized. Pirates chewed it for hours while discussing attacks or waiting for ransom negotiations. And fortunes rose quickly. In 2005, pirate leader Mohammed Abdi Hassan, known as Afwain or Big Mouth, built one of Somalia's most organized pirate syndicates, operating from Hobyo and Haradhir. His network became a multinational criminal enterprise worth millions of dollars. By the late 2000s, the world was panicking. Somali pirates operated across a vast area of ocean. Insurance costs for global shipping skyrocketed. Some ships rerouted around the Cape of Good Hope, adding thousands of kilometers and enormous fuel costs. Then came the famous hijackings. In 2008, pirates captured the Ukrainian cargo ship MV Fina, carrying tanks and heavy weapons. The world was shocked and horrified. That same year, they seized the Saudi supertanker Sirius Star, one of the largest ships ever hijacked. It carried 2 million barrels of crude oil, worth about $100 million. In 2009, Somali pirates hijacked the American cargo ship Maersk, Alabama. Captain Richard Phillips was taken hostage. A tense standoff with the U.S. Navy ended when Navy SEAL snipers killed 3 pirates from the deck of the USS Bainbridge. Then, the world finally understood. This was not a local issue anymore. It was a global security crisis. And so, the response escalated massively. NATO warships entered the region. The European Union launched Operation Atalanta. China deployed naval forces outside its waters for one of the first times in modern history. One of the largest international naval coalitions formed around the Horn of Africa. Helicopters patrolled shipping lanes, warships escorted cargo convoys, private armed security guards became common onboard commercial vessels. And suddenly, the balance shifted. By 2012, successful hijackings began collapsing dramatically. The golden age of Somali piracy was ending. What happened in Somalia is not a simple story of heroes or villains. It is the story of what happens when a state collapses, when poverty deepens, when foreign powers exploit weakness, and when desperation collides with opportunity. What began as local defense groups became militias, then criminal networks, then one of the largest piracy industries in modern history. Between 2005 and 2012, Somali pirates carried out more than 3,700 attacks. In 2011, they held around 750 hostages and captured over 30 ships. Through ransoms, naval patrols, skyrocketing insurance premiums, armed guards, and ships forced to detour, the piracy cost the global economy an estimated 12 to 18 billion annually at its peak. The issue in the Horn of Africa had caused so much global anxiety that in 2008, Time magazine included Somali pirates among its major contenders for Person of the Year. The world responded with overwhelming force, and then, almost as suddenly as it had risen, the golden age of Somali piracy began to collapse. By 2012, successful hijackings had nearly disappeared. Ports that once celebrated ransom money grew quiet again. Many pirate towns fell back into poverty, and the empire that had terrified global shipping just faded away. Illegal fishing still threatens weak coastal nations around the world. Fragile governments struggle to protect their waters, and when law disappears, it leaves a vacuum behind. Power simply changes hands, sometimes to militias, sometimes to warlords, and sometimes to fishermen who become pirates. Hi, I am Atlas the Fox. If you want more stories from history, subscribe and follow me into the next episode.